The sunlit town of Bellavere, nestled between rolling hills and a sparkling river, was a place of contrasts. On the eastern side, the sprawling Aldercrest estate rose like a crown jewel, with its manicured vineyards and towering mansions exuding wealth and power. To the west lay the humble village of Riverbend, where cobblestone streets wove between flower-covered cottages. Life in Riverbend was simpler, but no less vibrant, its people bound by community and hard work. Between these two worlds stood an ancient, overgrown garden. Legends whispered that it once belonged to a noble family, but had been abandoned for decades. Wild roses climbed crumbling stone arches, and weeds tangled with forgotten statues. Though neglected, the garden retained an undeniable magic, a hidden beauty waiting to be rediscovered. It was here, in this in-between space, that an extraordinary love story began. The characters: Eleanor Aldercrest was the youngest daughter of the prestigious Aldercrest family. With her fiery red hair, green eyes, and a mischievous smile, she was the talk of Bellavere's social circles. But Eleanor's beauty masked a restless spirit. She longed to escape the rigid expectations of her family, who saw her as a pawn in their quest to maintain power and influence. Thomas Merrick, on the other hand, was a man of the earth. The son of a gardener, Thomas had inherited his father's gift for nurturing life from the soil. His strong hands and kind eyes reflected his dedication to his craft and his dream of turning the neglected garden into a place of wonder. Thomas's passion for his work earned him the respect of his village, though he often felt out of place among those who accepted the status quo. The first encounter: one warm afternoon, Eleanor sought refuge from her family's stifling expectations. She wandered beyond the boundaries of her estate, her curiosity leading her to the overgrown garden. The air was fragrant with wildflowers, and sunlight dappled through the canopy of leaves. She felt a rare sense of peace, until she stumbled upon Thomas. He was kneeling by a patch of wildflowers, his hands covered in soil. Startled, Eleanor nearly turned to leave, but something about his presence held her. Thomas looked up, his eyes meeting hers with a mixture of surprise and curiosity. "You're trespassing," she teased, though her tone was light. Thomas smiled, brushing dirt from his hands. "I could say the same for you." Despite their differences, their conversation flowed naturally. Eleanor learned that Thomas had been quietly restoring the garden in his spare time, hoping to uncover its hidden beauty. Intrigued, she asked to see his work. As he guided her through the winding paths, pointing out the areas he had brought back to life, Eleanor felt a spark of admiration for his passion and dedication. A growing bond, Eleanor began returning to the garden, finding solace in its quiet beauty and in Thomas's company. They shared stories of their lives, Eleanor's tales of lavish parties and suffocating rules, and Thomas's dreams of creating a sanctuary where people from all walks of life could find peace. One day, as they sat beneath an ancient oak tree, Eleanor asked, "Why do you care so much about this garden?" Thomas paused, gazing at the wildflowers swaying in the breeze. "Because it's a place where differences don't matter. Here, everything grows together. I think the world could learn something from that." Eleanor felt a pang in her chest. In Thomas's simple words, she found a truth that resonated deeply with her own longing for freedom and authenticity. Discovery and opposition, their secret meetings couldn't remain hidden forever. One evening, Eleanor's older brother, Victor, spotted her returning from the garden with dirt-streaked hands and a radiant smile. Suspicious, he followed her the next day and witnessed her talking to Thomas. Victor confronted Eleanor that night. "Do you have any idea what you're risking?" he demanded. "Our reputation, our family's standing. Everything." Eleanor stood her ground. "I'm tired of living a life that isn't mine." "Thomas. He's different. He sees me for who I am, not what I represent. But Victor's threats didn't deter her. Instead, they strengthened her resolve. Thomas faced his own challenges. Rumors spread in the village, and his neighbors warned him to stay away from the Aldercrest girl. "You're playing with fire," an elder cautioned. "People like her don't belong in our world, and people like us don't belong in theirs." The turning point, as tensions mounted, Eleanor and Thomas devised a plan to prove that their love could bridge the divide between their worlds. They decided to transform the garden into a masterpiece, inviting both the Aldercrest family and the villagers to see its beauty. For weeks, they worked tirelessly. Eleanor brought supplies and ideas, while Thomas poured his heart into every detail. Together, they cleared paths, planted vibrant blooms, and repaired the crumbling statues. The centerpiece was a fountain engraved with the words "Love unites all." The grand unveiling. On the evening of the unveiling, lanterns cast a golden glow over the garden. Eleanor and Thomas stood hand in hand, their hearts pounding as the guests arrived. The Aldercrests entered first, their expressions a mix of disdain and curiosity. The villagers followed, hesitant but intrigued. At first, the murmurs were skeptical. But as the guests wandered through the garden, their skepticism melted into awe. The vibrant flowers, the harmonious design, and the fountain's message spoke to something deeper than words could express. Victor, moved despite himself, approached Eleanor. "You've created something extraordinary here. Perhaps I was wrong to judge so harshly." Thomas's neighbors, too, began to see him in a new light. The garden became a symbol of what was possible when love and unity triumphed over prejudice. The great ending. Eleanor and Thomas were married in the garden under the ancient oak tree, their vows witnessed by the very people who had once doubted them. The Garden of Bellavere became a cherished landmark, a place where people from all walks of life could gather and celebrate love, hope, and the beauty of unity. Years later, as they sat beneath the oak tree watching their children play, Eleanor and Thomas knew they had not only found their own happiness but had also changed their world for the better. The garden stood as a testament to their love. A reminder that even the most forbidden dreams could bloom into something extraordinary.